This time the quick speed shop, unfortunately it's that time of year where it's winter time already. It's gone from summer right to winter, and I got to put all my cars away. So I'm down here in the big shop, the shop out back, which will be the future quick speed shop eventually when I get organized in here. But right now I'm just stuffing cars away, and one thing I want to do is get the oil changed. Every fall I like to change the oil before I put the cars away so it doesn't sit all winter with the acid and all that in the crankcase. So I got my Model A hot rod coupe here. I'm going to change oil on this, but I've got some issues with it, and we're going to dig into that next. All right, it's a little dingy in here. I've only got temporary lighting up, so it's a little dark, but unfortunately I left this car sitting out in the rain all day, and I didn't realize it was going to rain, and I was far away, and I got soaked. So I just pulled it back here into the pole barn where it's going to be stored for winter. It's got kind of cold out now, but I want to change oil. And if you haven't seen the video that I did up here, I did a walk around and drive on this car about a year ago. This is a 1931 Ford Model A. Originally it was a sport coupe. It's done in a 40s style. Everything on the outside of the car is pre-1948. 36 front end, 38 rear end, wide 5 wheels, 39 hydraulic brakes. But under the hood, I've got a 1988 Ford Mustang 2.3 liter 4-cylinder hooked to a T5 5-speed. And I've done it up in period dress here, kind of. I got an old style air cleaner. I've got a Holley 2-barrel carburetor on an intake manifold. It's carbureted. I took the fuel injection off, so this is about set up like a 70s 2.3 liter with a GM alternator. But what I'm having issues with is oil pressure. Now, when I first put this engine in, this is just a $100 Craigslist engine out of a used 88 Mustang. It had about 45 pounds of oil pressure when I was running, and that was about 4 years ago, 4 years ago, I think I put this engine in as a replacement to the original engine I had in the car, which had a rod knock. And since then, the oil pressure has dropped down, where I'm down to about 15, 18 PSI while the thing is running down the road. So there's something going on with this here. I suspect what's going on is the main bearings are worn. My big block Ford and my 77 Ford, that had low oil pressure. When I took the engine out, I flipped it over, and all the rod bearings are down to the copper and the main bearings. So I ended up putting new bearings in that, and that fixed the oil pressure that I was having in that truck. That would go to 0 when I came to a stop. So that fixed the oil pressure in that. So I'm guessing this thing has got something going on like that too. These cars kind of lugged around and probably beat on the main bearings pretty good. So there's no really any noise in the engine or anything that would tell me otherwise that there's something catastrophically wrong with it. I'm pretty sure I put a new oil pump in it when I put it in the car, but I can't remember now. So hopefully over this winter or early in the springtime, when I get this back out, I'm going to drop the pan, which I can do in the car, replace the oil pump, and check the bearings. I already bought a new set of standard bearings for it. They're cheap, and throw a set of bearings in here. But when I'm changing the oil on this, I'm going to be looking at the oil, and I'm going to take the oil filter off. We're going to take that inside, we're going to cut it open and see if there's any kind of bearing material or metal in it that would tell me that something's going on with the engine internally. I'm just going to fire the car up real fast. You can see the oil pressure gauge here. Hopefully you can see, I don't know what's going on, but fire it up here. Whoa. Right now the engine's pretty warm, about 150 degrees, and you can see it's just under 20. I don't know if you can see, let me zoom in. It's hard to tell, but there's 40 in the center, and that mark is 20. It's just under 20 pounds here, and when I let off it goes down to about 15. You see I rev it up, it goes to about 35 pounds, but most of the time when I'm driving it stays right around 20. So I don't like that. It used to be up here past 40 all the time, so I don't know what's going on with it, but we're going to drain it out and take a look. Here on the plug, I don't see any metal stuck to it. The oil is kind of dark, but it's only got just over 2,000 miles on it, and it's awful black, which I don't really like, but that just could be how it is. Like I said, the engine doesn't make any noise, it just has terrible oil pressure. And we'll take a look at the oil in a second here. All right, here we go, we got the oil. Looks pretty dark. I don't see any glittering like metal in it. But I did notice when I took the filter out and took it up to drain it out in the pan, the filter is considerably heavier than the empty filter. So I don't know if that's just the oil and the residual stuff caught in it or whatever, but we'll cut the filter open and see what it looks like. So I'm going to dispose of this, and we're going to get some Rotella 1540 and put in it now. Alright, where are we here? I took a hacksaw and I cut a little piece just into the filter to get a little bit of a hole working. And I want to take this chisel and just start a little hole. I don't have one of those oil filter cutter deals. So I'm going to try to rip a little hole into this thing and cut it with some tin snips and see what happens. Hopefully it won't contaminate the works along the way here. Ah, crap. Let me go dump this out one more time. That's what I want to do. I wanted to get into this and be able to pull the, of course now I've wrinkled it over with the chisel, be able to pull this filter out of here. Nuts. Ah! What a disaster that was. Well, that was sure a disaster, but here's what I want to look at. I want to look at this filter here. Trying to look and see in here. I don't really see anything in the filter. There's nothing shining out metal to me. Doesn't really appear to have any debris in it that I can see. No, nothing real obvious. Nothing real obvious in the folds of the filter, just looks like oil, paper, and oil, cardboard and oil, whatever this is. So I guess that's good. I don't have any major debris. I don't see any metal in that filter at all. So I guess that tells me that I don't have any lingering catastrophic engine failures happening. I know I'll never do this again. If I'm going to cut one of these things open, I'm going to get one of those tools that cuts it, because that was super sharp and super dangerous and a mess. So not going to do that again, but let's go back out to the car. We'll fill it up with oil again and fire it up and see if the new oil made any difference in the oil pressure. I'm going to guess that it didn't, because I've had this ongoing issue with this car. But I feel good now taking this apart. There's nothing bad in there going on. So I've either got a faulty gauge sending unit that doesn't read right, or I've got a weak oil pump, or I've got worn main bearings that are not allowing the oil pressure to build up. So I guess the main thing to do, put the new oil in it, fire it up, check that, and then in the spring I'm going to get back to this car, work on it. Either I've got new bearings and a new oil pump that I already purchased that I was going to put in it anyways, so I'm going to drop the pan. Or first of all, I think I'll check the gauge. I'll put a mechanical oil pressure gauge on it just to double check that the electric gauge sending unit is reading correctly that'll be the first thing before anything else. I'll put a mechanical gauge on it, check the oil pressure of that, and then if that reads the same as the electric gauge, drop the oil pan. I'm going to pull the oil pump out, put a new oil pump in it regardless, but we'll look at the, pull some of the rod caps off and check the bearings. You know, if the bearings are into the copper or severely scored or anything, there's too much clearance between the main bearings and the crank and or the rod bearings, and that's letting the oil pressure be low. So we'll do all that in the springtime. So let's get back to putting the oil in the car. All right, the oil, I'm going to be running up. I'm going to upgrade some to Rotella 1540. This is a little heavier for this engine, and it's got some more extra wear protection. This is diesel engine oil, but I run it in pretty much all my old engines. So we're just going to, I think this engine takes 4 quarts if I remember correctly. We'll pump her in here. Man, it's thick because it's chilly. This is what, 1 gallon, so this is 4 quarts. Do with that rag. There it is. There's one. Like I said, when I put my cars away for the winter, I always change the oil so it's got fresh oil in the crankcase. There's no acids or any debris in the oil to sit over winter. I air the tires up if they've gone down at all over the you know, if they leak it all over the winter, help have them filled up, and I'll air them back up in the spring. And then for like mice protection, I really don't have too big of a mice issue in here, but I take dryer sheets, like cheap ones for the Dollar General, and I put dryer sheets in the engine bay, like under the seats, on top of the seats in the trunk. Maybe lay a couple around the car, and they seem to dissuade the mice. I really haven't had too many mice issues. I tried some other bits and pieces of other things like mice be gone, stuff like that. It seems like the dryer sheets seem to work pretty decent. Or I'll do some Irish Spring soap. I guess that kind of works a little bit. But I haven't, knock on wood, or knock on rubber, I really haven't had too many mouse issues. But we'll see what happens. So once this gets done filling up here, it's probably mostly drained into the crankcase. Let me get a first pull on the dipstick. See what we got here. Yeah, that's going to be full. When that drains all the way back in, that'll be full. So I'll let that finish drain in for a minute and I'll fire it up, but I'm sure the oil pressure isn't going to really be any better. All right, let's fire it up and see if it made a difference. Alright, so you saw it there, it went up to about 30 when I revved it up high, but it hangs right around about 18 psi. So that was just a quick video for the 31 Model A Hot Rod Coupe. I really don't do too many videos on this car because it's been working pretty good and all I've been doing is driving it. So this is the only issue, is the oil pressure issue with the thing. I guess I'm going to put it away for winter, then in the springtime I'm going to do some more figuring on it and thinking and try to diagnose and actually get it dialed in, because I don't want to blow the motor up with having no oil pressure, but I should verify that the gauge is actually reading correctly before I do anything mechanical wise. But like I said before, I did already buy an oil pump and bearings, so I have the parts to put into it if I need to maybe shore the bottom end up a little bit and get some more oil pressure kicking into it. But that's it for now. I'm going to put this thing away for winter and move on to the next thing. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm putting out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Hit the bell for alerts. Tell your friends. And as always, I'll see you right back here at the Quick Speed Shop for more Model A Hot Rod Coupe, Model A Hot Rod Shop Truck, and whatever else is going on here coming up in the winter season.